Turkish State Railways DE-24000 is a type of diesel locomotive built by Tulomsash. 418 units were built between 1970 and 1984, under the license from Materiel de Traction Électrique of France. The DE-24000 formed the backbone of the dieselization of the Turkish railways during the 1970s. DE-24000 is the most commonly found locomotive class in Turkey. More than 150 in usable state. Welcome to the training scenario of the DE-24000 engine. In this scenario I will show you how to cold and dark start this locomotive. You are now sitting in the driver's section of the DE-24000's cab. First, move the camera using your mouse and look around. Great. DE-24000s are difficult to operate and they are very demanding locomotives. But don't worry, I will give you all the necessary information in order to operate them. First of all, we need to open all the circuit breakers in order to give power to the systems. Switch to the circuit breaker box camera by pressing the right arrow key 2 times and open it. In this panel, you need to turn on all the necessary circuit breakers one by one. Now turn on all circuit breakers and continue. Now that you have the circuit breakers on, we can proceed to start the locomotive. Switch to the back wall camera by pressing the right arrow key 3 times again. Now find the switch that says main light and set this switch to on. And make sure that the Z136 heating system switch is on I position, not Fogan. Switch to the operator console camera by pressing the right arrow key again. You should now see the lights on the operator console and ATS device screen come on. Note, if you find it difficult to read the indicators because of the darkness, you can now turn on the cabin light by pressing the L key. Now find the general control switch between the ATS display and the radio at the top of the console and turn it on. Next, you need to turn on the fuel switch to start the flow of fuel to the engine. After turning this switch on, wait for a bit until you see that the value of the indicator that says Yakut Gosta Jesse comes to around 2 bar. We have now gone through all the steps required to start the locomotive. Tip: do you have to do all these exhausting steps one by one in every cold and dark start of this locomotive? Of course not. If you press Ctrl+1 and then Ctrl+2, we will automatically do all the necessary actions for you to start the locomotive. Now all you have to do is holding down the startup button on the console or simply the Z key. Depending on the temperature of the engine, you must wait a certain amount of time for the engine to start the ignition process. You will understand that the starting process has been initiated when you hear the pre-lubrication sound. When the starters are engaged, the MD1 and MD2 lights on the matrix display will turn on and the value in the RCT motor device SI indicator will start to increase. After the ignition is activated, the MD1 and MD2 lights turn off and the indicator shows around 650 RPM value. Now that our locomotive is running, let's learn the steps to get it moving. First of all, we have to release the parking brake of the locomotive. To do this, turn the parking brake flywheel, which is at the bottom right on the front wall, to the left until you are sure that the brake is completely released. Then turn the engine brake lever to the left to release the locomotive's brakes. The brake pressure gauge on the right, which reads Fren cylinder, shows the pressure in the locomotive's brake cylinders. This value should go down to 0 when the brakes are released. Note, to prevent unwanted movement of the locomotive, release the brakes only when you want to move them. Finally, you need to turn on the switch labeled alternator warning to activate the traction motors. Now you can open the throttle lever by turning the wheel, which is called valve up. When you open it, it activates the necessary contactors for the engine. To increase the RPM of the locomotive, you need to hold the throttle valve upwards after turning it on. The first time you hold the valve up, the locomotive loads Cron 1 and makes its first move. Even if you hold the valve up in this state, the RPM will not increase. After the engine loads Cron 1, you can increase the RPM by releasing the valve and holding it in the up position again. Locomotive will load Cron 2 and then increase the RPM. Let's approach the turntable with limited speed by following the speed of the locomotive on the indicator. As per the scenario, I will automatically turn off the throttle for you so that our speed does not increase. Once we are on the turntable, increase the locomotive brake to stop the locomotive. Don't worry if you couldn't stop exactly on the turntable. You can move the locomotive again by releasing the brake and turning on valve as you just learned. While waiting on the turntable, turn the locomotive 180 degrees by clicking the turntable or pressing G key several times. After turning the locomotive, go to the stopping point that reads Ulukışla. let's get back to the Ulukışla depot again. Set the reverser to the forward position, release the locomotive brakes and let's move towards the depot. Successfully completed your first training with D-24,000 locomotive. Now, while waiting for the scenario to complete, set the fuel switch to 0 to stop the engine. Alternatively, you can turn off the general control switch or press the logo stop switch to stop the engine as well. After the engine of the locomotive has stopped, make sure that the locomotive brakes are applied before leaving the vehicle, that the alternator warning is turned off and the reverser is in neutral position. See you in the next tutorial scenario.